Hello, Rene Bastarache with Elite Thought TV, and I'd like to welcome you all here this evening. And once again, I'd like to start with a story I heard today. It's about two guys walking through the jungle. As they're walking through the jungle, all of a sudden a tiger appeared from the distance. And they started to panic, these two guys, and didn't know what to do. One of them reached down, reaches into his backpack, takes out a pair of Nikes, and starts putting them on his feet. And the other guy says, "What, you think you're going to be able to outrun the tiger?" And the guy putting on the Nikes looks at him and says, "No, I just have to be able to outrun you." Okay, so think about it. The whole idea is successful people never give up. And of course, it doesn't hurt to be faster too. But that's going to be the gist for tonight is I'd like to talk about what it takes to be successful. Raluca and I had, I guess you could say, a few experiences in this last week. We took probably in the last 2 weeks, we've taken about 5 or 6 webinars. We've been doing a lot of studying lately and been meeting some pretty interesting people. As you know, last week we had our own webinar, our very first webinar, which was a 2-day webinar on the telephone hypnosis, basically telephone hypnosis training course. Very interesting situation. And right after, we actually had a couple other seminars we took, and before that we had a 4-day one on putting together webinars. How interesting is that? But the last few that we took were basically success webinars. And one of them was basically on millionaires. Actually, it was a woman named Jamie that put this on. And what she does for a living is she interviews millionaires, asking them how they did it, what their secrets are, and how they, if they could tell us different things, different insider secrets. And one of the things that kept on coming up whenever she interviewed these millionaires is the idea of persistence. So persistence is one of the biggest things that I want to speak about. Never giving up, always doing it. But what do you want? I mean, think about it in business. Do you want to be successful? I just take it for granted being independent businessman, self-employed, success. You want more and more. But I heard from another speaker just recently that not everyone wants to be successful. Everyone has a different level of success. Not everybody wants a Mercedes. Thank God for that, because the Mercedes company will go out of business. But some people want Mercedes, some want Jaguars, some want Fords, some want Hondas. I got to pick on Honda because that's what I have, okay? Everyone wants something different, so we don't all look at success with the same definition. So what do you want? Have you ever thought of it, taking the time to really think, what is it to be successful to me? Is it just to have enough money to get by? Is it enough money to be able to do whatever I want to do? Is it enough money just to pay for my bills? Matter of fact, Raluca and I were watching Tony Robbins last night, and one of the things that Tony said was, so many people have never determined that what they want. So when they say, if they're thinking success is enough, let's say, to pay my bills, but if they haven't determined that, once they have enough money to pay their bills, they still think they haven't reached success. So they keep on working for it, and they get more and more and more and more. And the first thing you know, they've never felt they were successful, but they probably had 10 times more than what they thought it would take to be successful. So what's your definition of success? In order to be successful, you need to know exactly what that is. You need to determine what your success level is, what it would take for you to consider being successful. You can keep on going after, but if you haven't determined it, how are you going to know whether you reached it? So I think that's a very good point to start with. So do you even know what it means? What does it entail to be successful? You'd be amazed how many people don't realize that. And I want to speak a little bit about that tonight by telling you actually sharing you some interesting stories that we've been studying recently. So to me, to be successful, one of the main things you need to do is study successful people. Make sense? In order to be happy, study happiness. In order to be sad, study sadness. Or actually, a lot of people can do it naturally. But anything you want, if you study it, in order to be a historian, study history. So it goes the same with success or wealth. In order to be successful or wealthy, study success and study wealth. Doesn't that make sense? So, and besides studying, what else does it take? You need to breathe it, you need to live it, and most importantly, you need to do it. It's amazing how many people can talk the talk and say everything about success, know all of it, but they never go out and do it. You've seen some of these people that study and study and study their whole lives, but never take the first step in trying to do something. Ruluka and I have seen that through years and years of being hypnosis instructors. We've seen people that have come to our training and they left, and then they maybe took another, let's say, an NLP course, and then after that they took a course in maybe psychology and a course in this, and course after course after course. 3 years later, they still haven't started working to make money because they don't feel comfortable. They're basically comfortable learning and being students. But there comes a time where you need to do it. So anyways, like I said, these millionaires, somebody just wrote down, the event just wrote, the paralysis of analysis. I like that. I've never heard that before. Ruluka, write that down for me. It's going to go in a future book. The paralysis of analysis. Okay, so basically, persistence is the common thread amongst these millionaires, which I found pretty interesting, especially when you start thinking about what does it take to be persistent? How much do you have to do? You've all heard the story about Thomas Edison when he created the light bulb. He found 10,000 ways that wouldn't work. Now, would we be that persistent? If he asked some of the people that I know, or if we were to, let's say, create the light bulb, how many do you know that would maybe try it 6 times and say, oh, heck, I can't do it? Try it 10 times. I mean, if it wasn't for Thomas Edison, I'd probably be doing this talk right now, via campfire or something, or candlelight, okay? He was persistent. 10,000 ways it wouldn't work. Think about how many times 10,000 is. Now, if it didn't work on the 10,000th, I'm sure he would have gone to 20,000, because the idea is he wanted to do it. So how much do you do something when you want to be successful? Whatever it takes. We have a program most of you have probably heard about called the 21 Day for Change, okay? 21 days of repetition when you're doing anything is the minimum amount of time it takes to reroute your neural connections and create a biological subconscious habit, okay? So it's the same way you went through life, let's say, when you learned how to walk, when you learned how to ride a bike, anything that you did took a minimum of 21 days to create a subconscious automated habit, one that you don't think about. Like when you're typing, you could type all day long until you start looking at the keys, okay, without thinking about it. You recite the alphabet without thinking about it. You know your address, your social security number without thinking about it. But if somebody changed your address or social security number, now you got to think about it. And it'll take about a month for it to be an automated subconscious habit, okay? So, excuse me. So it takes that long to create a habit, so you need to continue doing things. Now, I get too many things going through my head all at once. I got to slow them down. It's funny, I'm talking about slowing down, and I'm just about to talk about a horse race, okay? Think about a horse race, the difference between the number 1 and the number 2 horse in a horse race, okay? The number 1 horse probably wins $100,000. The number 2 horse goes to the glue factory. Oops, did I say that out loud? But the difference between the number 1 and the number 2 horse may have only been an inch. May have been just a little bit. One of those flash finishes where you see the 2 noses so close. It's just that much. So was the number 2 horse no good? He probably just had to take one more stride to be number 1. And that's the thing for us. The difference between success and failure probably just had to be a little bit. It probably doesn't have to be you being twice as good and going to school for 10 more years. Just 1 more hour in the office, somebody might have walked in the door before you quit and maybe wanted you to do a big group. You never know. It might have just been 1 more try at the light bulb. But then on the other hand, it might have been 5,000 more tries. You see what I mean? You have to keep on doing things, because success is developing a habit. To develop the habit of success, you need to keep on doing it until you've created the biological, I guess you could say the subconscious automated habit of being a successful person. So how long does it take? As long as it takes. That's what I'm saying. With the 21-day program I was saying before, people say, well, I did it for 30 days and it didn't happen. Or I did it for 25 days and I'm still smoking. If you want to quit smoking, how long are you going to do it? Until it takes. Until you quit. Are you going to have a soft moment and say, oh, I had a cigarette. Oh, no, I'm going to smoke it again. You know, what's the use? If you wanted to quit, you want to quit. So whatever it takes, if it's 21 days, if it's 30 days, if it's 45 days, you do it until it happens. As long as you believe it can happen, it can happen. Okay, so that's the first thing when it comes to success, motivation, or mindset is it's not I'm going to do it for a month or 2 months or whatever the minimum time period is. You're going to do it and nothing's going to sway you. You need to do it until it actually happens. And then, of course, you want to keep on doing it because you want to maintain it, okay? So persistence doesn't mean a little harder. It means do it until you get it. Persistence is a mindset. Now, I'm sure all of you heard the story or probably read the book. Here it is, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, one of my favorite books. In the book, he has a story called 3 Feet from Gold. It's an interesting story, and it pertains to what we're speaking about tonight. Gentleman named R.U. Darby, I don't know what R.U. stands for, somebody's probably going to type it in, but Mr. Darby's uncle was basically, you know, he wanted to strike it rich with gold. So he kept on doing his gold mining, and all of a sudden he found a vein. And in this vein, he found quite a bit of gold, but he needed money to mine it, to get it up to the surface. So what he did was he kind of quietly closed down the mine and slipped back home, I believe it was to Maryland, and spoke to Mr. Darby, and both of them went around to all their friends and relatives and tried to get investors and people to give them money to be able to get the gold out of this mine. So they went back and they found one of the richest gold veins or gold mines, I believe, in the state of Colorado. They pulled out tons, all kinds of gold. And all of a sudden, that vein that they were working on just kind of dried up. So they started digging in different areas and couldn't find any more gold. So what they did was they just closed up the mine and called it quits. What they did was they sold the mine and all their equipment to this junk dealer for just a few $100. And of course went back to their business. Now the junk dealer wasn't any ordinary junk dealer. This guy was pretty smart. He knew a little bit about mining, so what he did was he hired somebody to come over and I guess a surveyor to find out what they could about the mines, because there's ways they can kind of get an idea which way the veins go. And as a result of surveying this dead mine, what they found was, or they said that if you dig a little bit over here, you're going to find the vein pick up again. So what happened? Mr. Barnes and his uncle went down there and they started digging, and about 3 feet from where the other guys left off, okay, 3 feet from, excuse me, not Mr. Barnes, the junk dealer, okay, 3 feet from where the Barnes left off, they found pretty much one of the richest veins of gold again in Colorado, and they actually mined out millions of dollars worth of gold, only 3 feet away. So you think about it, 3 feet from gold. How far did they have to go? Not very far, okay? But they quit. And that's what happens a lot, is a lot of people quit. Oh, I didn't make it, when it might have just taken a little bit more. So, excuse me. In one of the webinars, this brings me back to something that happened in one of the webinars that we taught, the one on the telephone hypnosis. See what happens when there's so much going through your head. I need to thin it out so I can just focus on one, right? In the webinar, basically we were teaching how to do telephone hypnosis, everything from A to Z, from finding the clients, getting them to find you, web page building, calls, all the way to being successful. So we've given all these steps. And it's amazing, even with all the steps, when painting it all out and putting it on there, you still get people saying, I can't do it. I can't do this part of it. I can't do that part of it. It was amazing how much we were seeing. We had these notes that people were typing in. We could see their comments like with you folks, but they couldn't see each other's. Okay, so I could talk about it because nobody else knows who we're talking about. Okay, but they couldn't see each other's. But it was amazing the amount of times we were getting comments, I can't do it. Oh, I don't think I can do that. I can't do that. How people have that victim mentality. Think of it. When you say, I can't do that, and you find that you're not able to do it, all that failure is a validation that you can't do it. And you go, see, I told you so. We need to get that victim mentality gone, okay? The victim mentality is what stands between you and success, between anyone and success. I call it playing the victim game. Why do I call it a victim game? Because there's no such thing as a born victims. Babies are born winners. They're not born victims. Oh, I can't do it. They can do anything. They're a blank slate, okay? The victim mentality comes through programming. Either the past programming from your family or your environment, or even your present programming, okay? But that came from somewhere, and it's a game that we play in order to not be successful. So whenever you complain, rationalize, or justify, you're playing the victim game. And that's what's happening. A lot of people, when you say, well, you need to be able to, make a web page and do this, I can't make a web page. Have you ever tried? Very simple. There's so many programs that you buy them and they spell it out, just point and click now, okay? You need to be able to make some YouTube videos. Oh, I can't do that. Have you ever tried? It's easy to say you can't do it, because if you don't want to get off your butt and try, by saying I can't do it and not being successful, there's a validation. You were right. How many times have you tried to do something and it might not have worked, and when you gave up and somebody says, told you couldn't do it, and then you feel justified in not doing it? See what I mean? That you not only do it to yourself, but other people do it to you as well. So you need to get rid of the victim mentality, the validation, and the opposite of that is taking 100% responsibility and saying, I can do it. That's it. If you want to do it, you're going to do it. So remember, I think it was, Henry Ford. There you go. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And that's exactly what I tell people when they say I can't do it. I usually look at them and say, you're right. I know they want me to fight with them and to argue with them and to convince them that they can do it. But if they've convinced themselves that they can't, they're the ones that are validating their own behavior. They need to believe that they can. So rather than fighting and going against a whole group that you're trying to teach, one person saying I can't do it, say you're right. It's amazing how many of those people will think about it and go, well, why'd you say that? Okay, so you can do it. Success is a mindset. Now, if you think of it, that's why so few people actually attain it. You realize that over 90% of the income, or 90% of the finances in this country is controlled by about 1% of the public? Think about that. Why is that? Is it a conspiracy? Is it a secret? Is it aliens coming down and trying to take over all the money? Okay. Why does over 90% of the money, why is it controlled by less than 1% or less than 2%, so 1% of the public? Think of it. We all have dreams, but most people are too comfortable to go for their dreams. Comfort is the enemy. So we're going to talk about why so few control the money. It's because of goals. What is a goal? A goal is a dream with a deadline. Okay, so we all have dreams, but most people won't do anything about it. So a dream is a goal with a deadline. Now think of it. How many people have goals? It's said that approximately, actually less than 10% of society actually have goals. 10% of society. Now, I know a lot of people we speak to a lot of people about business and success and counseling, and I've heard so many of them say, I'm too busy living my life to plan my life. And you probably know a lot of people like that. You might be in that situation yourself where life's hitting you so fast with the bills and the economy and all these wham things people are saying, that they're so busy working and trying to make money that they don't have time to plan. Well, if you don't plan where you're going to go, how are you going to get there? You need to have a plan. Who was it? I believe it was W. Clement Stone. No, I'm sorry, it's Zig Ziglar. So you're going to have a lot of people I like to read about. Zig Ziglar, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you need to have a plan. But so many people don't have a plan or don't have a goal. They all have things that, dreams, which is no more than a whim, but unless you act on it and you have a deadline, it's not a goal. So less than 10% of society has goals. Now, less than half of them, so we'll be liberal and say 5%, have clear, defined goals. What's a clear, defined goal? Well, knowing what you're going to do, how much you're going to do it, when you're going to do it by, the things, people, places, and equipment you need to do it, and a deadline. So basically having everything in place so there's no more what if, having a solid plan, a defined goal. Give you an example of a defined goal when you want something and knowing what you want it. Okay. Matter of fact, one of my books, I wrote the story about this kid who wanted a bicycle for Christmas. And matter of fact, the title of the chapter is called Letters to Santa. And he wrote the letter to Santa and it says, "Dear Santa, I'd like to have a 20-inch Huffy Stingray bicycle. It's the one that's red and has blue stripes on it with red, white, and blue ribbons coming out of the handle. You can find it at Walmart." And he wrote the whole letter, and I really want to have it. I could use it for my paper route and to get to school so Mom doesn't have to drive me all the time. I've even made some space in the garage for it so I could park it and keep it safe. Please, Santa, let me know if you can have it. And by the way, it's only $39.95 on special right now. Okay? This kid had a goal. He wanted the bike. He knew everything about it. So basically, if you listen to that letter, anyone taking that letter would be able to go out and get this kid the right bike. You know all the details about it. That's what I'm talking about, a clear, defined goal. You can close your eyes, even as I'm telling you the story, you could probably picture the bicycle, but this kid could close his eyes and see the bike right in front of him. He used his imagination so much that it became a reality to him. Now it's just a matter of him waiting, now that he's placed his order, for the bike to come. So, 5% of society has clear, defined goals. Less than half of them, so let's say 2% of society, actually act out on their goals. Actually get out there and do it. How many people you know that have all these goals and when my ship comes in and all that, but they don't do anything about it? So the ship's still out in the ocean, okay? So you need to act on it. Now, that's 2%, but I said 1% of society makes 90% of the money. So what's left? Half of them, 1%, actually follow through once they've acted on their goals to fruition. Follow through is the most important thing. Persistence. 3 feet from goal, 10,000 light bulbs, okay? You need to be persistent. That's what sets apart the successful from the unsuccessful. The unsuccessful said, "I'll try it," until it gets uncomfortable and they stop. The successful go at it no matter what. Now, interesting how I just said something I wasn't planning on saying, but it just came out that they do it until it's uncomfortable. Why is that? Comfort is I guess you could say, is the enemy of man. Comfort is our Achilles heel. We all want to be comfortable. When I teach about the mind in class, we get into the qualities and the traits of the conscious mind and then the subconscious mind, okay? The traits of the conscious mind are, number one, it's a creature of habit. It wants everything to stay the same. It resists change. It wants comfort. Okay, so anything out of that comfort zone, you're going to naturally resist. That's why hypnotherapists are in business. Why do people come to see you to quit smoking? Because it's uncomfortable. It's out of their norm. It's a change. It's something that they're not used to. So they need somebody to be able to speak to the subconscious mind to get them to change. Think of it. Anyone that comes to see you as a hypnotherapist, okay, because most of you, I believe, watching this probably are, they want to change your clients, and they know what the change consists of. If you let them talk to you long enough, not only will they tell you what's wrong, they'll be telling you all the problems they've been having with it, how it's been exhibiting, and they'll even get into what it would take to change it, because they know. They know how to quit smoking. How do you quit smoking? Just don't put another one in your mouth. What's so hard about that? Okay? What's so hard about it? It's against change. It's uncomfortable. You're not used to it. What are you going to do when that break time comes up and you have no place to go? What are you going to do with your hands when you're driving? You're comfortable. You're a creature of habit. You see what I mean? So people know how to change, but the conscious mind resists. It's always fighting that positive change. So you can say, matter of fact, I think I saw this in the Bible once, that the natural man is an enemy of God, meaning our own natures get in our way of progress. In order to be successful, you need to change. In order for something to be different than it is now, it needs to change, okay? Because if you keep on doing the same things for the next 5 years as you did for the last 5 years from now, you're going to be in the same place as you are now. Someone once told me that the definition of insanity is to do the exact same things but expect different results. It's not going to happen. In order to change, there needs to be a change. Change. What is that? It's different. Uncharted territory. Discomfort. Uncomfortable. Stretch. Exceeding. So think of what that means. All the things that most people don't want, especially people that are comfortable in their ways. So in order to change, you need to think about it. Do I really want to change? Again, remember at the beginning of all this, do you really want to be successful? What does it take to be successful? Well, if you do, it all comes down to this. You need to decide if you're ready to make this change, because to change means things are going to be different in your life. Let's choose this for an example. Let's say you want to be a millionaire, okay? That's your goal, is to be a millionaire. Right now, you're not a millionaire. Let's say you're not even a thousandaire. Maybe, let's say you're not even 100-aire, if there's such a thing. You're kind of like a little bit here and there, okay? And you want to be a millionaire. So right now, your comfort zone, if you were in that situation, would be not having much money, would be hanging around other people who are in the same situation. You realize that most of the people you hang out with, your friends, make within 20% of the same income you do, drive similar type cars, live in similar type homes, in the similar type neighborhoods, because we gravitate towards what we're comfortable with, okay? So what's going to happen if you decide to change? All of a sudden, you'll probably be making more money. In order to be successful, you need to live successful, you need to study successful, you need to act successful. So now you're going to start doing things different. Instead of Motel 6, you might be going to the Ritz. Instead of a strip club, you might be going to a country club, okay? Instead of beer, you might be having something a little bit classier. Who knows? Instead of mud wrestling, you might want to go golfing. You see what I mean? Things are going to start changing, and your friends are going to start saying, what's the matter with Bob? He doesn't hang with us anymore. He's just not like us. When they're talking about how broke they are, you're going to be talking about how much money you're making or you're going to make, because you don't want to talk about broke, because when you want to be successful, you need to stop saying negative things about your goals. That's poison. So you have to stop saying the negative. You have to stop saying the I don't haves and start saying I do haves, okay? It's going to annoy the heck out of your friends. They're going to be jealous. They're going to think you're stuck up. First thing you know, you're going to start losing your friends. Now think of this. This is change for someone that wants to be successful. So eventually they lose their friends. They change their hobbies. They change their thought process. They probably move to another neighborhood. They have another car. They're starting to progress to a higher lifestyle, okay, going up to the 100-aire, to the 1,000-aire, to the millionaire. And they're going to start having the millionaire mindset. Instead of McDonald's, it's probably going to be a nice restaurant. You see what I mean? Everything's changing. But that's uncomfortable, because do you really want to lose your friends? Do you really want this? Do you really? Because, oh, I won't lose my friends. Money's not going to make me different. It might not make you different, but it's going to make all of them look at you differently. So if you want to change, decide you want to make the change. And once you decide, I mean decide. I'm going to do it, and that's it. Not just for finances, but anything you want to change in. If you want to be healthy, decide I'm going to be healthy. But you might not hang around all those people every week that get around the table talking about how sick they are, because that's poison to what you're trying to do, is to progress and being healthy. You need to get away from disease, negative talk, all those things that have been holding you back, and validating your sickness or validating your being unsuccessful. Because when you're unsuccessful or sick, you hang around with other people that talk about sickness, give you pity, woe is you, and that validates your situation. One of the biggest things you need to get away from. So if you want to change, change. Make a decision, do it, stretch, become uncomfortable. And that's basically what I had for you tonight. Okay. Before we go, let's see, we still have a few more minutes. If any of you have any questions about this kind of thing, anything you wanted to add in that you want me to mention to the group, as long as it's positive, okay? Go ahead and shoot. We'll give you a couple minutes. And other than that, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And what I'm going to do so we can get to your questions, I'm going to just go ahead and stop the recording. So thanks for coming.